Hey YouTube, welcome to The Perspective. I'm going to talk about this recent bombshell that dropped where a whistleblower with Facebook came forth and she basically gathered a bunch of documents showing that Facebook is aware that there's misinformation, hate speech, and harmful material being circulated on Facebook, and is putting profits above managing that to the full extent that they can. Listen, I really I can't say it enough. First I'm going to explain what the Democrats are basically saying and people on the left are saying, and then people on the right and people and the Republicans are saying, because this whole Facebook drama thing is really starting to bug me. And then I'm going to tell you my position. So Democrats are saying that this is just more evidence that we need to regulate Facebook. This is just more evidence that Facebook is not regulating itself, and we need to pass laws to correct hate speech, the spread of misinformation, etc., to govern and constrict Facebook, pretty much. Now, because of, let me not even put that in there yet. The Republicans, on the other hand, are saying about Facebook that Facebook keeps censoring us, keeps censoring conservative point of views. We need to regulate Facebook or break Facebook up to allow more speech and more points of views to be represented at this big company. Here's my view and what I think is actually happening. Number one, regulating speech is a violation of the First Amendment. It's a violation of the First Amendment. If people are not calling for violence, if they're not slandering other people, if they're reading things that you deem to be misinformation, even if they're reading things that are misinformation, what role does the government have to step in and tell someone that you cannot read that? Now, because the Democrats keep doing this, and because the Democrats keep pressuring these companies to do this, it's not Facebook. Facebook doesn't want to think about this kind of stuff. Facebook is interested in getting more people to use their service and to increase their profits and to provide a good service that people are willing to use. So Facebook isn't really worried, doesn't want to have to worry about this. But it's not just the US government, particularly the Democratic Party, who's doing this. It's governments in Europe that are passing laws, putting pressure on Facebook. So it's like an international assault on free speech where everybody's squeezing Facebook. So then when Facebook does start censoring to try to make sure that they can actually survive as a company and that regulators don't start breaking them up or ruining their business model, so Facebook says, okay, well, what's the logical thing for me to do in this situation? Well, let me try to actually enforce this. So then conservatives feel like, well, you're enforcing this and something's wrong with you, and now we need to break up Facebook. They're abandoning the principles that they so-called have of a free market where a business decides who it's going to serve and not serve, or what is going to be its policies around the use of its services. So instead of the Republican Party looking at the Democrats and making a firm, solid, clear message that we're going to support Facebook's right to exist, and instead of fighting Facebook, fighting the Democrats, which are threatening Facebook, and that's what's causing Facebook to do that. And why? Why is that happening? Because when Hillary Clinton lost in 2016, they blamed it on what was going on Facebook and misinformation being spread on Facebook, and they can't get over that. So I think we need a party, a capitalist party, an individualist party that says, I'm not going to blame private companies for what I know that is the result of the government. Because it is not even Facebook. Like, Facebook doesn't want to do this. This is a new phenomenon with Facebook. But Facebook feels like it has to do this or it's going to get broken up or regulators are going to attack it. It's literally being attacked from the left and the right. And you have this whistleblower coming forward, which from my understanding has donated to Democrats time and time again with this quote unquote bombshell to put more pressure on Facebook to do more censorship, which at the end of the day, and then Republicans get mad and say that we want to break up Facebook, and at the end of the day, what both parties are doing is destroying capitalism, destroying a free market, free exchanges of goods and services, and putting their politics and their political wants and their political needs over people being able to enjoy a good service like Facebook.